Let's try. Hello, all you heroes, villains, and innocent bystanders. Welcome to another episode of an Angel and Unicorn comic book reviews. I'm Alan the Unicorn, and with me, as my trusty sidekick, is
just James.
We will be spoiling the books of the week, and we will. So if you haven't read your books, you may want to go back, reread your books, or read your books in the first place, and then come back, or you can come along with us, and we'll spoil them for you. We're only going to be doing 4 books this week. Also, if you can, like, share, and subscribe. However, I sadly informed James, and I will be informing you guys, or all 3-4 viewers that we have, or the people that have supported us and actually watched the show. Next episode, so after Christmas, we will do an episode with our book club, and that'll be our last episode for a while. A little hiatus. I'm going back to school, and unfortunately, with the small amount of time I put into this show, I just don't even have that amount of time once I start writing papers and stuff like that. So hopefully I will be able to get through that and at some point come back, because I know this is important to me and important to Jenny and James and all of us that cared for Jenny, and this is something that we started, so I'd really like to keep it going. But unfortunately right now my life is just not being able to, so maybe at some point I might come back to it and try it again in a different format, or work out the bugs and maybe have more time to devote to it. But until then...
So you have time to make more friends who are into comic books to watch this show, so we can be rich and famous, so we can have lots of time to do this show.
Exactly. And so when I go back to school, it'd be useless. I don't even know why I went back to school.
So
also, but we will be continuing the book club. We'll be still doing that once a month. So I will be posting those videos here, and I'm going to try to post them on Facebook and in our local comic book area. That we are going to be doing the book club. So I'm not going to get rid of that. That's definitely something that we will continue, and there's a lot more people involved in that than just us. So. But anyways, so all that to say, let's get to the books. Do you want to go first?
I can.
Okay. I'll go first next week. And then,
maybe. Here we go. Okay, so the first book I'm going to review is Folklords. It's by Boom Studios. It's by Matt Kindt. Matt Smith and Chris O'Halloran. This is the 2nd issue. I always want to call them episodes, and then I always want to call TVs issues, and I have issues, and I don't have episodes, and I'm very...
I have episodes, just depending on what kind we're talking about here.
I need adult.
Like last night when I almost killed Terry and Dal, poor guys.
I need adult. So, the original issue, it's kids in a kind of sword and sorcery type world. Yeah. They're supposed to go on a big quest when they turn 18 to become an adult. And this one kid he sees visions of our world. And he's going to go look for the Folklords. And they haven't really defined what the Folklords are. Okay. And there's these mysterious librarians, and once Folklords got mentioned, then they came in and shut the quest down. But this kid went and did it anyway with one of his buddies. So this issue starts, they're going through the woods and talking to just a little exposition, and his buddy's like, so what do you know about these Folklords? And the kid says, nothing. Yeah. He's like, you had 18 years to plan this.
Like, you're looking for them. How do you not know who you're looking for? Like, what?
And he's like, that was sort of my quest.
To figure out who they are.
So then his buddy, you find out his buddy's the only elf in the village, and so they get into a little backstory, and it feels a little disturbing.
Yeah.
Because
he thinks he was, like, left behind, and, like...
he was left beside a tree, but then they show the art, and there's, like, 10 of them.
Yeah.
And the family only picked up one, and so you're like, what's going on behind the scenes? And then he he like made the mom sick, and he made the dad kill himself, and
because they were broke and they were poor, and they were like, yeah.
So anyway, it seems a little behind the scenes darkness there,
and well, like almost seems like he's not like he doesn't know the full story, or the story in his head is different than what's reality.
Yeah, like us.
Every day. I'll take every day.
So they come to a fork in the road, and there's the easy path and the dark path. And the kid's like, "Well, you're on a quest. You gotta take the dark path." So as they're walking, and then a girl starts following them, and then you see a librarian following the girl.
Which they were introduced last time. Yeah. And I think it's the girl that's his friend. Like earlier.
Because I think it's the girl they run into later in the book.
Okay.
Just because it's the same cloak.
Okay.
And then they run into a big hag type woman. And his buddy the elf whacks her in the head with a slingshot. And then the main kid tries to win her over with a curry goat pie, and so then they're running away from her, and the woman catches the boy, and she tells him to kiss her, and she lays one on him, and then nothing happens. So you don't know if she was under a curse or they don't really go into what that was all about. So, no, I guess it is a different...
Yeah, different dress.
Okay. So then they see a girl sobbing beside the river, and the guy says, "Oh yeah, this is a trap."
Yeah.
So, they find the girl, and she says that her brother was taken, and they're gonna help her find him. And then the main character, Ansel, has like a cigarette lighter
that he made,
and everybody's, "Oh, that's magic. Where did you get that?" And he says, "Oh, I make these little gadgets that I see in my sleep and stuff." And so, and I don't know what that's about. And when she tells the story of her brother was taken by a killer, and he gives him this candy, and there's a seed inside the candy that grows and kills the person, and then he eats off the corpse to make a tree, and so like the whole forest is like a big graveyard. And so then they go to sleep, and Ansel has a dream that he finds a phone with a text message that's saying, "Go to the library, find the writer's room, wake up." So they still may be in VR or something, I don't know. But so he wakes up, finds his friends are gone. He finds the candy that the seeds grow in. He finds the Hansel and Gretel candy house,
candy cottage,
and then he realizes the candy that he got was dosed.
Yeah,
and so he's knocked out, and then he wakes up, and he's tied up and in a dungeon type thing, and so
yeah.
And her scarf, is that the same? Nope, it's not. I was thinking maybe she had the same scarf, that it was her in a different form.
James is like detective work, man. James is like Batman mode.
I'm on it.
Batman mode.
So
in this
I liked it. It's I'm hoping there's more exposition soon. If it's just lost all over again with just question after question after question and never any answers, I'm gonna be pissed. But hopefully
I don't know. I feel like they're giving us enough.
Hopefully they'll dish out some answers along with the questions. So.
Well, I'm like I feel like I like the characters. I think the characters are fun. I like the art. The art is really interesting. Art reminds me a little bit of Fables, like that little like I don't even know, like it's cartoony, but it's not cartoony. It's kind of this weird realistic look, and I really like it.
And the thing where you found the phone and I'm like,
it's kind of trippy enough.
Yeah, that was kind of. I was like, what?
Well, then even when he finds like the house, where he finds the candy house, and like it warps into that weird like, it's like he looks like he's drugged, like, and they do a really great job of kind of giving that feel, and so
like the phone, the message to him was in text speed.
Yeah. So it was like it's
so something
the modern world melding with the folk world.
Weird.
So yeah, it's interesting. I really like the concept so far. Like I've enjoyed it. So I mean, I'll keep getting it. I actually think I'm probably gonna get this in probably hard copy instead of just getting it online.
I hope it continues and doesn't peter out.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Boom actually haven't been doing too bad of some books. Like they've actually had some really interesting.
3.5 points.
I would say 4. I give it a solid 4. I really enjoyed it, and I like the way the direction it's going. And like I said, I like the characters, and so I'm curious to see how they're going to do it. So far, I've really enjoyed it. So I'm going to do Harrow Country, Tales from Harrow County. Sorry, you know what I meant. Written by Colin Bunn, Tyler Cook, and art is by Naomi Franquiz.
I met him a couple weeks ago, Colin Bunn.
Yeah?
Down in Texas at a con.
Y'all hang out, have beers together?
Yeah.
Nice. Is he nice?
Yes.
Awesome. I definitely feel like his stuff is a hit or miss for me. Like it's like
he's been like doing a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Like
I had a large list of things to pull from to get signed by him.
Yeah, he and definitely like lately he's had a lot more and more and more. So I've enjoyed most of the stuff. I think we've actually reviewed a few of his books, and I don't think there hasn't been one that we really didn't like. There was one in the past though. What was the one that we didn't like? I feel like we did it for book club. Maybe I'm getting him confused with
Did he do the one, the sword of something?
No, like the Age of something or other.
The one that was kind of
King
Arthur-esque.
I don't think so. I have to go back and look. Anyways, we've had some decent luck. So I'm going to do this one, Harrow County. And it starts off with this African-American lady, and she's writing letters. She has like pen pals, and so she's been writing letters. The mailman comes and brings her some correspondences from those different pen pals. And he also says that he has a letter for another person in the town that unfortunately with the war going on, he's got a government letter. He said normally, the government people deliver these, but we're such a small county that we don't have somebody, so it's me that's up to it. So he's basically delivering that to this family that their loved one has died. So he goes and shows them, and she's obviously upset. So she rides her bike to this cabin in the woods, and in this cabin there's jars knocked over, and she starts talking to this creature, which they show this creature. It looks like kind of like a giant monkey rat with his big long ears, huge eyes, and kind of slender body and a tail, and he's got the snake in his mouth, and he's kind of like he goes, but they're really tasty, and he goes, and they have no more magic, so what does it matter? And she's like, I told you not to eat them, that's what it matters. Like, I told you not to. And he's like, but this one's so tasty. He's like, can I have this one? So she's like, fine. So she makes up these little, like, she's got a mortar and pistol and does these kind of things, and then she rides off into town, where she passes a funeral of another person that looks like they're burying a loved one from the war. Goes into the doctor's office where she sees the doctor's nurse, and they kind of have like a little bit of weird of exchange. Like, it's kind of, it almost looks flirty, which you find out later that it is, but you kind of notice it here. They kind of blushing, and they're kind of like have this weird banter. So she goes and talks to the doc, and she's like, okay, give give this to so and so, it's gonna help their headache. Give this to so and so, and it's gonna help this. Give this to so and so, and it's like all these weird, like kind of almost voodoo, magic, remedies. And he gives her some medicine. He's like, look, this is for the people that are having really hard problems with their loved ones dying. So like let them try it. And she's like, no, we'll be fine. He goes, no. He goes, they may need help. And so, they're kind of doing this like weird exchange, but you get the sense that it's all under the table, that nobody knows that she's there to help, and that nobody knows that he's helping her. And so, you also get the sense that the town folk at this doctor's office do not like her because it's
she's a witch.
Well, that, and I think it's also color of her skin. Yeah. So I'm assuming
she's a black witch.
Yeah, she's a black witch. She's a black voodoo priestess, and so, but they don't quite say it outright, but the artist and the words and the way that things, reactions, that's kind of the feel you get. So if they're not going for that, it seems like they are, but if they are going for that, then they did a really great job of the art and like giving that feel. So later on, she meets, she's in the woods and she's all dressed up, all dolled up, and the nurse comes by and they're having a little picnic, and you find out they're kind of in love. And all of a sudden, this song is playing, and all the soldier that they brought the letter to, the soldier shows up at the parents' house, but he's kind of a ghost. He's like in this ghostly, sickly green light, and like the mom and dad are like, "Oh, you're back," and he's like, "Yeah, I'm back." And then they show the different reactions from this, wherever this song is coming from. They show the different reactions from some of the town folk, like the nurse and the voodoo girl, and some other town folk that have somebody missing, and so they open the door, and this ghoul is like gross, and she's got like this long stringy hair and these big giant claws and this huge mouth, and she ends up killing them. Well, I mean, it looks like she kills them. They don't really say, but she takes a big chunk out of the guy, and then the issue ends. So I have to say, like, I actually really liked it. Like,
have you read Harrow County?
No. Is this a continuation?
Yes, there was a whole there was a Harrow County thing that he did multiple issues of.
Oh no, I did not know that.
Yeah.
No, I've never read it before, so I have no idea who these are.
Is it by what company?
I want to say it was Dark Horse. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Harrow County book. This is like a spin-off or something.
Oh. Okay, I guess I just didn't look.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's lots of them.
Yes, there is, apparently. 32 issues.
So.
All right, well, there you go. So.
I don't know if she's been a character in them, or I haven't read them.
Zero clue.
Kenny read them, and he liked them to a point, and then he quit because, he got offended.
Because he's Kenny.
Something.
Yeah. I'm sure there's something.
Hi, Kenny.
Yeah. He always finds something to be mad about. Bless his heart. No, I didn't know it was a continuation. But honestly, like, I didn't feel that
I don't know if this is like a sub-story, or I think it's like a spin-off or a further tales.
Whatever it may be, if it's a continuation, a reboot, or I didn't get the feeling that I wasn't lost. They really did really well with, like, I didn't feel like I needed to, oh my god, who is this woman? Like, I got the sense of who she was just by her interactions with everybody. A lot of the stuff, like, you get a sense that this town already has, like, all these little weird happenings. So I didn't feel lost, but I mean, like, there's definitely some questions.
It's like Angel spinning off of Buffy. You can just watch Angel and not be lost.
Right, exactly. It adds to it. So I actually didn't know there was a continuation. So good on you, even better, because I feel like that's a mark of a good continuation or a good book, is if you don't feel like you're completely lost, because they rely on so much from the old. So I really enjoyed it. The art is really nice. It's the lazy
writer that you need to have read these other 32 books, and a good writer can do it. Do where you don't feel lost going in, but a great writer can do it where new people can enjoy it, and people that have read the series aren't like, I've seen all this before.
Yeah, I definitely have to say I was not lost. I didn't feel they gave me enough information obviously there's things that I would like to know. Like I want to know where that creature is. I want to know what like is she a voodoo queen? Like is she like a or is she just having something that has magic? Is this town? There are questions that I have. I don't know if they'll be answered. So obviously I like now that I know that it's a different book, I'm definitely gonna go back and figure it out.
Pause the video. Got some reading to do.
Please hold. There's only 32 issues. It'll take me about 2 days. But yeah, so I really liked it, and the art was really nice. So art's got this very great like watercolor look to it, which I think is really beautiful. Yeah. The characters, like the way they did it, was really nice. Like everybody looked like a person. I also like the fact that everybody did not look like superhero-esque. Like the lady looks kind of thick. Like she looks like a person, like a normal person. Then you know some of the townsfolk, like they look like they have interesting body types, and you know the doctor I think is a little bit thinner, and just they did really good with the different costuming and the different look of each of the characters. So I really enjoyed it. I have to say 4.5 stars. I definitely makes me now that I know that there's more, it makes me want to go back and read it. So good job, excellent.
All right. For my next and final book, I'm doing a Basket Full of Heads by Joe Hill, Leo Max, and Dave Stewart. It's from DC. It's part of their Black Label, and then Joe Hill's getting like a sub. It's Hill House.
Yeah. Like a horror
his
label.
A brand.
Yeah.
So the premise, if you haven't watched our previous reviews of this, they're on an island and there's a storm coming, and there were some prisoners that escaped, and this girl and her boyfriend, who was a deputy, hid out, and then the escapees came for them, and the boyfriend went to lead them away, and one of the prisoners was going to jump her, and she grabbed this axe that was the sheriff collected Old Norse artifacts, and she grabbed the axe hatchet from that and cut the guy's head off, and the head's still alive. So she's carrying the head in a basket, as one does, talking to it, and and it's funny because the head goes from, you know, pleading with her and asking for help to being a real jerk, and he pissed because she killed him, and
he goes through like the whole gambit of emotions.
Like, we should have had our way with you, and oh, I'm so sorry, and yeah, it's she cuts herself with the axe. I don't know, to see if it's magic or something. And she's trying to figure out what these guys were after.
Because he kind of like split. He kind of insinuates that
they said they cut one of the boyfriend's fingers off to get him to tell where something was.
So she's kind of piecing things together.
And the guy says, "Oh, we were trying to find out where you were," and she's like, "Well, no, you weren't, because she's detectiving and figures out, and so she keeps threatening the head, and so she's trying to, and you can tell the guy's being evasive, and so she'll smack the head around, and then he'll get pissed and threaten her, and then she's like, "What are you gonna do?" So
got nobody. Ain't got nobody. Ain't got much.
So she's trying to piece together what's going on, and this guy says that her boyfriend found a bunch of money on a body of a gal that committed suicide, and that it never went into evidence. And she's like, my boyfriend was poor, and he had to live on the sheriff's boat, and so it was. She's trying to figure out what's this guy, what's true and what's false, and this guy lying to her. So she goes in the house, and the gun safe's been emptied out, and the phone isn't working. So she goes out on the road, and she meets one of the town folks that she met in a previous episode. And she asks for a ride into town, and he's like, "What are you doing with a hatchet?" "Oh, it's for protection." So she asks if he'll take her into the police, and so they're talking on the way in, and she threatens the head to shut up, to not
not make noise, or she's gonna throw him in the ocean where he'll live, and
be eaten by crabs. So so they're talking back and forth, and then there's a tree across the road, and so they're like, well, we can't get through, and she's like, so she goes and gets the axe, and she's gonna try to chop the tree up to get it out of the road. Well, when the guy goes back to get something to help and sees the head in the basket, and and he had given her his coat, and she reaches in the coat and finds the shears that they used to cut the boyfriend's fingers off. So she realizes this is a bad guy too.
Yeah.
And just then he clubs her with a chain, and so she
gets him in the leg, she cuts him with the leg, and then he just keeps it. He knocks the axe out of her hand and
keeps hitting her with the chain, and he's reaching up for the final stroke, and then it ends. So you find out.
I think she's gonna have another head soon.
Yeah. So you're finding out more and more people are bad, and then the last one, the end thing
badge.
was the guy had the badge. So it's like, is the bad guy, was he a deputy, or did he steal this? Something.
I think they were all in on it, and
the whole
I think
town.
they're using this prisoner thing as a way to launder this money or get this money out of here. Or I think the wife is in on it, and these are all my theories. They're not I don't know this for sure, but I think the wife's in on it. She's talked deputies into acting like prisoners that broke out, and then they're going to be their cover up, is that the prisoners took this money.
Because they were talking about how the wife has all these artifacts that are worth millions of dollars, and they're, where's all this money coming from? And
she's in on it. Sure, she's gonna be a final hit.
The whole island's in on it.
Everybody's
Alan's in on it.
I'm in on it.
His cats are in on it. They're up to their eyeballs in it.
Especially the orange one. He's too stupid to stay out of stuff. All right, I'm gonna do IDW's Wellington. It's written by Delilah Dawson and Aaron Monk, and Peter Kowalski. So Peter Kowalski, Peter. So it sets the stage of the Ainsley House, London, 1948, and it's this guy coming in, and he was told to show up by himself with nobody, and I'll bring all this stuff. So he comes, and he's like, there's a guy in this chair that's sitting by himself, and he's telling him about this story about how one of one of the people he knows wrote this letter to him asking him to come, and him and his wife come and visit, because there is 3 things that have happened. There is a missing child, a spectral black dog, and a man was found murdered under arcane circumstances. So the guy's like, okay. So he comes in, and they get to, they show them arrive, and the lady gets the wife. She's like, this is delicate things. You may not be able to handle this. So let's go take you to the parlor. So they take the wife away, and then she comes back and is talking to Wellington, where she's like, this and this, and he's kind of explaining things. He's like, really a missing child, that's anywhere, it's nothing really common, and a dog, I'm sure. So she's like, but it has like these weird eyes, and he's like, it's really, I'm sure it's nothing. And she goes, well, what about this? And she reveals the body, and the body has like all these weird markings on its legs and on all his limbs, and he has these huge slashes across his chest, and he's like, what is this? And so he's like, this is definitely interesting. So he goes to investigate, and when he goes to investigate, the horse is like, no, I'm not going any further. And he's like, okay, I'll leave you here. Just, he's like, calm down. So he leaves the horse, and he realizes that there's hoof prints, and then there's like these like weird, giant, crazy paw prints. So he takes his sword out, and he's going along looking for things, and he runs into this crow, who the crow keeps saying yeah and nah, and it sounds like he's saying yes and no. So he asks these crow questions, and the crow like says yes or no, and he's like, and then the crow flies away. So he goes into this dark like catacombs, comes back out with this book that has the same writing that's similar to what's on the guy's limbs, and he's like, well, this is interesting. And then he gets back to his horse, and as he's leaving, the black dog with the red eyes chases him. So he's trying to ward him off, and he finally cuts the dog, and he gets away. And so he goes back, and he's like, we may be onto something. And there's this old lady, and she's like, the devil's crawled up from hell and is going to kill us all. And then it ends on a pleasant note. So it's definitely like a monster murder mystery kind of book. I'm not for sure how involved it's gonna be. It was okay. It reminds me a lot of like a Sherlock Holmes kind of book. I was gonna
say it had a Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, especially for the like a Hounds of Baskerville definitely comes to mind. And
like the detective-y type guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that finally sounds interesting.
Yeah, so it was okay. I wasn't like super interested in it. I wasn't, like, oh, this is gonna be really neat. It was okay. The art was okay. It was really kind of almost too detailed for me, my personal feelings. Like, I felt like there was a lot of like it gave a very Victorian, old London feel, but there was a lot of detail that I feel like maybe wasn't necessary in some of the stuff. But he does really well with the expressions. He does really well with the action. So it was just okay. It was just a middle of the road book. There's nothing that really jumped out at me that I was really excited about. That I'm like, ooh. So I might pick up the second issue. It just depends on if I see it in my, while I'm scrolling through all the stuff on my app. And I will probably try to read the second issue and see if it gets a little bit further and a little bit more interesting. But I also feel like they could have maybe done something more with the character first and then went into the story. I don't know. Like, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I probably would have been irritated if they would have started character development and like not get to the story. But they could have I wish they would have found a way to introduce this character a little bit more, because I'm not for sure. Is he a monster hunter? Is he just like a detective? Is he like, I don't know. And I don't know like if this, obviously until they reveal it, like I don't know if it's really going to be a supernatural book or if it's just going to be like a Sherlock Holmes where like, oh, they were using glowing limestone to make him glow in the dark, and it was just really just a dog that was trained to add the whistle, and it's like, or it's like, oh, the body was only. I just wonder if they're gonna like explain everything into like a more non-substantial or non-supernatural way. So we'll see. But I'd say 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. I wasn't mad that I read it, but I wasn't really excited about it either. So just middle of the road book, middle of the road art. We'll see where it goes. So hopefully they do something cool that we shall see. IDW sadly does not have a good track record though. For me. So, was that it? That was it?
Yep.
So that's our books for the week. So if you can, like, share, and subscribe. Obviously, looks late, but do it anyways. Just make me feel good. Go out on a good note. But until next week, like I said, next week will be our last show. But we also have a book club next week, and we will carry that on. So, and what was our Blood and Water, right, by Judd Winick?
Yes.
So that was our book. So if you haven't caught up, if you haven't got that read yet, read it. Join us for book club next week, and tell us your opinion. Let us know what you think, and we hope to see you there. So until then, we hope your pull list is full. Bye.